What I would consider a little hidden gem inside Affinity Photo is the displacement filter. And this filter kind of blends a layer that you give it, a rasterized layer, and blends it into the background a bit when you do author it. So a good use case for this is text. So we'll just actually make something. Or how about we say start something, because that's the hardest thing to do, right? So let's scale this back, and obviously this text is massive, but I want to start just by kind of making a mural, so to speak, that just looks a little artistic in the sense of what we're looking for here. So maybe I'll use this DDC typeface from Aaron Draplin, if you've ever checked that out. It's a free download I can link to on the show notes. Why don't I make this a set width and height? All right, so with this in play, we can skew the text if you want to. You can rotate it a little bit just to kind of make it look like it's something written on the wall. The idea here is that we're going to make it try to blend into the wall itself to make it look like it was naturally put there as opposed to just slapped on the top. The displacement filter helps us with that because it brings out some of the back of the wall. But what I want to do first is just kind of doctor up some of this text, maybe make the leading a little bit more tight here, and decrease the tracking a bit. There we go. Okay, so with that done, we can go ahead and continue on. We've got our actual text layer, and I want to use the displacement layer or filter. We need to actually rasterize the layer. So sadly, we won't be able to edit it later. So you'll want to make sure you have everything looking the way it wants to be looking right now. You'll want to go to filters, distort, displace. And in this filter, you'll notice when you enter this mode, if you're on a text layer, it's going to rasterize your text by default. If you have Assistant active, it will tell you that. With that in mind, you'll want to load map from the layers beneath. And that's going to, if you look close, it loads bits of the image data below its layer. So what that does is just makes it blend us ever so slightly, and you can increase the strength if you want to, and you could see it start to kind of drift away there. But it makes it look like almost like it was painted on or chalked on the wall in this light. So with that done, we can kind of just apply that effect and work our magic more if we want to make this look even closer to what we are after. So you can play with blend modes here. Some look good, some just do not. So you can toy with the color that it actually is and make it, say, a layer effect. Do a color overlay. Maybe we'll make it more of a brown in this case. Kind of get something going there. Maybe with a little red. You can even go light here and probably make it look a little more realistic. Add some noise to the mix. And maybe that color is like screened or added. Something that makes it look light, I think, is the key here. So we'll say add, and you can adjust the opacity where you see fit. From here, we can even add more of shadows to make it look like it's embossed a bit. So maybe I'll increase the radius on an inner shadow and make the angle a bit different. See how this turns out. Do normal. So that makes it look like it's coming off of the brick. We probably want it to go the other way. Increase the intensity somewhat. So it looks like our color overlay is possibly causing this to be a little tough to do, but you might start with white text from the beginning as opposed to black like I did. So I was just kind of showing by example here. But this is something you could do. You could even go in terms of making a drop shadow, but make it look almost like it's dropping up as opposed to down. So what I mean by that is there's a shadow and we've got it coming in through there, but we want it to look like it's almost embedded into the brick wall in this case. So something like this is kind of a nice effect, just very subtle. And then to get even more intense, you could make a mask out of that text. So if you create a new mask and grab your brush, and maybe we'll go grab a different brush that's more of a texture-based brush. So by default, there are some here in Affinity Photo. You could find one that looks like it might do the trick, something like this. So you will need to also make sure your brush is black in that case. So it actually makes a difference here. So that makes it look like it's got some wear and tear. So yeah, so something like that. Displacement helps just kind of blend two layers together. I'd probably go back and change some of the glows here to be a little less prominent. They're a little intense, so maybe adjust those, the inner shadows too. So just something to make that look good. You could even sharpen that text to be a little more in your face, or even blur it just a tad, just to make it look like it's a little bit set into the brick wall a bit more. So we got a before and after here. Let's see how it looks. And you could just toy with opacity, whatever you see fit here. So using the displacement filter grants you a bit more control over overlaying some text or something in an image that has texture. It's a subtle effect. You'll want to use it sparingly, but it is a nice filter to have in your arsenal. Definitely try it with combining, I would say, text over textured items or something like that, or even if you want to make an emblem look like it's embossed onto something like a wood piece or metal or something like that. That's a great use case.